calendar stuff. Okay. Well, I am so excited to see you guys. I am in San Diego, California right now because of Plexus. And this is something that is so special for my family. And this is a huge reason of why I think that these calls are really important, why all of the accountability groups that we do are important, while all of the sometimes monotonous income producing activities that we're constantly talking about and constantly encouraging you all to do, why they are so important, because those laborious activities that you are doing will produce fruit. And I know that if you've been a part of Plexus, if you've been a part of this team for more than a minute, you hear that often, like what you put in is what you're going to get out. And sometimes that can be frustrating. If you've been here for a year or 2 years and you're not where you feel like you want to be, I want you to go back and ask yourself some questions. I want you to go back and truly evaluate how much time are you putting into your work? When you are giving that time, what does that work look like? So like, a diet journal, like a food journal, we all hear of that often, where if you've got somebody that's wanting to lose weight and they're like, well, I'm exercising, I'm supplementing, I feel like I'm eating well. Well, when you stop and you go back and you take a look at your food journal, it's a real eye opener of, oh gosh, well, I've had like 84 Tootsie Rolls the past 2 weeks every single day. And I've gone to McDonald's or Sonic or whatever. Like, it's a really good eye opener when you are able to reevaluate and recognize your actions. And that's exactly what everything we do is for, like, just to recognize, reevaluate, because I'm telling you, I'm here on this trip with my family, something that we only dreamed that we could ever do, something that we felt like one day maybe we can pluck our children from school as a surprise and fly them somewhere really fun and really special and not worry about having to pay $95 for a horrible breakfast that we had to do today. I about died when my husband told me how much it cost. And we like threw away like half of the food because my children didn't even like it. But it's like, we eat, not that, I mean, we are very, very good stewards of our money, but we only dreamed that we'd ever be able to go and do this. We only dreamed that we'd ever be able to take our kids to SeaWorld and Legoland and the zoo here. And that is absolutely only possible because we had our eyes down. We were not dealing with crazy emotional mindset stuff. We were learning and growing and had our head focused on what we were doing with this business. And that is why we are here. And that is not just for the Emily Burgesses or the Lauren Thomases or the Hannah Richardsons. That is for people of any caliber, like any skill level. It doesn't matter who you are. This is all about equality, which I love. I love that about this profession. Anybody can do it, but you have to want to do this. You have to actually not just say you're going to do it and go do this. This is a really, really good book that if you haven't read, it's very meaty, but it's a really good book. It's from John Maxwell, and it's the 5 levels of leadership. And I'm going to read you something, and then we're going to transition into our super special guest, and then we're going to follow up with a little bit of calendar. So he's saying here, most people, this is John Maxwell, who's like the king of leadership. Most people who don't get anywhere in life have themselves to blame. They don't believe in themselves. They create problems and pretend they are someone else's fault. They won't change, they want change, but won't grow. It's very difficult to be self-deluded and successful at the same time. And I think that this is like everything that we need to be focusing on, because mindset is such a huge part of this business. Today, we started that Emerald Extravaganza Challenge 2022. Shelby participated in it this morning. Thank you, or this afternoon. Thank you for that. I think Brittany did as well. I haven't looked to see if anybody else has yet. But the next 2 weeks is all about overcoming obstacles in your business. And it's going to be so good. And I encourage every single one of you to participate in it. It's in our Rising Jewels business page that we have for our team. It's for our ambassadors, and it's it's all these diamonds who go and share like a 5. If you're me and you are long-winded, 8 minutes, but it was supposed to be 5 minutes, you share like a super short little video of an obstacle that you had to overcome. And these are all diamonds. And I want every single one of you guys to really prioritize this. Like I said, they're super short, they're 5 minutes, but hopefully they will bring you a little bit of like comfort and like, okay, if this diamond was able to overcome the exact same thing that I'm struggling with, I can do this. I hope that it will serve as a really, really great encouragement. So that way you don't have that issue of you holding yourself back, of that self-delusion, like eliminating success for you. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but it is my joy and my honor to present our really, really special guest tonight. I know everybody was like crazy fangirling. It's Lauren Thomas. Like, I think you're like maybe one of the youngest jewels in all of the world. And she has very lovingly and willingly said, heck yes, I will come and share a little of my story and share a little bit of my tips. And so I'm going to pass it over to Lauren. If there's a little bit of time at the end, we might open it up for Q&A, but feel free to, in the chat, maybe type out a question that you might have for Lauren. Lauren, we're so thankful for you. I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Okay, can you all hear me okay? Because my phone is plugged in. Okay, cool. So I'm Lauren Thomas, and right now I apologize for the terrible lighting. This describes my life. My phone is on 10%. I just put on the charger in my car. I'm in my car. I just left the movies, and I finally got packed today for Mexico tomorrow, which I leave at like 3:30 in the morning. So I'm like trying to get everything together, but that is me all the time. So you don't have to be super organized to do this. But I wanted to just kind of go back a little and tell you all about my story. We're not going to talk about the health too much, because if you're on here, I feel like you know the products work. At least I hope you do, and you see all the testimonies all the time. But I did start solely for the products, and this was in January of 2019. So it's been like 2.5 years now. At the time, I was 18 years old, and I had just tried so much. I feel like I also had gone through so many changes recently. I graduated high school at 16, so I've always been weird. I've always done stuff that was not necessarily normal, but I went from competitively dancing all the time to being in college and not having that, and going to eat Cane's and Waffle House and all this stuff. And even just the freedom of, it was my first time living on my own. I moved into my sorority house that spring, and I remember just being able to go downstairs and get Nutella because I wanted to, without my mom being like, you shouldn't be snacking this late. Like, I was just like, this is so cool. Like, I want to eat whatever I want. If I was heating up butter noodles at 1 a.m. after a party, like, I was doing it. But my body started like wreaking the havoc of that, or reaping havoc. And I just felt so gross in my body. And I also mentally, with school and classes, was struggling with stress and anxiety from that. So tried a lot of quick fixes, and as we know, those are not it. And so finally I saw someone post about Plexus, and I was like, I think I'm going to try that. Like, I'm not being offensive. I thought it was for old people. And I was like, I don't know why she's doing it, but she keeps posting all this stuff and gut health. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew she was talking about something else that no one else was. And I was like, it's worth a shot. So I tried the products, loved them. But again, I was in college. And so I got a, $199 pack at the time. And so paying $200 and something after tax and ship in college was a lot of money each month. So, but I love them so much. So I was like, what can I do? So I got on the phone with my sponsor and her sponsor, and they were like, why don't you just share? Like, you can so do this. Like, I bet you can go silver in like a week. Like, you're going to make this happen. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but I really do love these products. So I'll share. At the time, what that meant for me was post about it every other day on my Instagram story, maybe that much. I never shared about it on feeds. That was it. And I went silver in under a month, but it was all like, I did not know any of them. So a lot of people, you have like your warm market that's like your mom joins you, or like your sister. Literally, my mom did not join me for over a year of doing this, you all. It was like people I did not know at all. They just followed me on social media and wanted to give it a shot. And that was most of my first people. So after getting silver, I made that quick money, and I was like, I think I can do this. So I kept posting mainly just on stories and stuff like that. And I did have a supportive sponsor that helped me out, that would send me post ideas and be like, let's adapt this to you. So that was really helpful. And I posted on Facebook too. So that's definitely, Facebook and Instagram both have always been where I've posted. But I went gold that March, and that was the month that there was an iPad incentive. So if you've been here for a while, you know the iPad incentive. I didn't know how cool it was till after, and I was like, wait, this was like cool company wide. So I added like 18 people that month on my own and went gold, which is great. But at the same time, I had zero customer care in place, wasn't like taking care of anyone. I was just signing them up and like, I love these products. I hope they love them. Like, they're great. But I wasn't taking care of people. And I didn't know at the time how much that was going to make a difference. So I was just happy to go gold. I signed up to go to conventions. I was going to go to Vegas as my 18-year-old self. And actually, my sponsor did an incentive with me that month that was like, if you sign 18 people, where it was like 6, 12, 18 was like the incentive. She was like, I'll pay for your flight to Vegas. And I thought, no way. But at the same time, I'm very competitive. So I was like, I'll do it. Like, I can sign 18 people. So I did that. And that's all that was on my mind, was going to Vegas and just this incentive. And so I remember the next month I didn't hit my points. And then I remember getting to convention and being so nervous because I didn't know we had name tags with our rank. And I was like, what if they put me as silver and not gold? Because I didn't hit my points last month. Like, it's so embarrassing. They didn't. It said gold, but I felt so fake. Also, I was like, I'm not even gold. I'm not hitting my points. But at the same time, this was the first thing I ever went to. I'd only been doing Plexus since that January. And I saw all of those jewels, and even Ruby and Senior Ruby. I remember sitting next to the Ruby section and being like, how are they doing this? Like, how have they made it that far? I can't even hit my gold points. Like, what is going on? What are they doing? I need to know all their secrets. And then I saw the jewels, which that was a whole nother thing. I didn't even know like what a jewel was almost at this point. But I remember I followed Abby Kappa and Bridget Ryan. They were like the only two I knew who they were. So when I saw them there, I literally was like starstruck, like could not even like speak. Like I like would be across the hall from them, like not speechless, like couldn't even function, like a zombie. And so it's so funny now, because after that I just thought they were just like, they are incredible people, but I thought, what, like they have to have superpowers. Like if they are a jewel, like I don't know what they have going on. But I remember leaving fired up, but I just wasn't consistent in my business, and I still had no customer care or anything. So it was just kind of for fun. I was making enough to pay for my products each month. And then of course, we all know what happened last year. Our pandemic began, and everywhere I worked, I was working 4 jobs. They all closed, you all. So I was like, what am I going to do? Like everywhere I work, I'm very blessed that I could stay at my parents during that time, and my parents can help me out. But I'm the type of person too, like I want to provide for myself. I don't want them to do everything for me. They always have my whole life. So I was like, what can I do to make income? And my options were like draw unemployment, which I like applied for. But at the same time, I was like, I want to do something. Like, what can I do to make a difference? And I was still sharing Plexus, just not all in. So I remember reaching out to my sponsor and being like, I'm doing this. Like, what do I need to do to make this happen? And pretty much the biggest changes I made were posting more boldly, and then also just doing my IPA every day. So I know Emily mentioned at the beginning, she was talking about IPA, and sometimes it can feel so tedious and it can feel like I don't want to do that today. But at the same time, like, if that's the hardest thing, especially now that I've graduated and like this is my job, if IPA is the hardest thing I have to do, that is such a blessing. My boyfriend is in medical school, and seeing what he does and thinking about how he's going to have to go through residency to make the type of money that diamonds make, I'm like, okay, I can do my IPA. Like I can get this over with. It's not the hardest thing. He reminds me all the time of like, think about the time in a day you spend versus they like just passed a law that residencies, they have to work less than like 150 hours like a week, like insane. And so every time I start complaining about IPAs, which my biggest advice is pick an IPA sheet, whatever it is. I'm sure there's some on your team page, and just tell yourself like, I'm going to hold myself accountable to this. At the time that I decided to really work my business, I picked IPA. It was just a simple sheet with a few things on it, did it every day, posted every day, was a part of it. And I had a friend on the team at the time that I was like, be my accountability partner. And if I didn't send it to her during that day, she'd text me and be like, hey, just want to check and see if you've done yours yet. Like I know we said we were holding each other accountable. So it wasn't something that was mean for us to message each other and be like, hey, you're not doing this. Like, what's up? It was just a reminder. And sometimes I'd be like, you know what? Like, I haven't done it yet. I'm literally just putting it off. Like, give me 30 minutes and I'll get it done. And I would send her a picture, and it was so helpful for me. So even y'all, if you don't have someone working the business under you yet, message someone on this call, someone that's on your team, a sideline sister, and say, let's do this every day. We're going to do it. You can even give each other, like, for me with the girl Stacy, we had like a time, like by a certain time of night, that was like your time to message me and be like, okay, it's 11 o'clock at night, you haven't done it. But if you have kids, maybe that's 7 p.m. or 8:30 or whenever it is that they know, like normally you should have it done by then. And that was like you're in the clear to be like, okay, you haven't done it yet, so why don't you send it to me? So IPA was huge. But going back to my timeline, that was March of last year that the pandemic started. And that month I ended my points at, I think it was like 70 points. And so I remember feeling good, like I'm close to gold again. Like I'm like, my points are back up. I had one girl working the business under me. I think she only signed 1 or 2 people that month, but it was still someone that was working the business. So I got to 70 points. I was feeling good. And the first of March, April, I'm like, what month was this? In April, I had told my sponsor, I'm like, okay, let's set a big goal this month. And I was going to get to 125 points. That way I'd be halfway to senior gold. She was going to buy me this Kate Spade backpack if I got there. And I was like, I can do this. So I did my IPA still. I was posting, and I actually ended up the last day of the month, I was 14 orders from senior gold. So I had like surpassed my goal of 125. And I was kind of thinking like, I can't do this. There's no way. And I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone. I've already met my goal of 125. And then Megan Garrity, she's 3 people above me, she was checking her back office that day. And she messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, girl, you are only 14 orders from senior gold. Like, what are you doing to make this happen? And I was like, oh my gosh, they know, like they're going to hold me accountable now. Like I have to do this. They believe in me. And so y'all, I sat there and I messaged everyone I knew, and I got to my 14 orders. And at like midnight, one girl under me that was sharing added 2 people. So I got to senior gold. That was in April. And then in May, I went Ruby, senior Ruby. And then June was another whole thing of me being like, I'm just doing it. Like I had the mindset of, I might as well push for this big goal and make it happen. And so I went Emerald last June. And since then, just pushing along and creating a great team. But that's been incredible. And now I'm graduated. So I didn't even tell y'all I'm 20. I turned 21 in 3 days, and I'll be in Mexico on Plexus Dime, which is just incredible. I'm bringing my mom with me. But a few things since then to grow my team. I was doing IPA and posting. I feel like it's so simple. We always try to overcomplicate it. But for me, those are the biggest things. IPA that involves customer care and posting, which is in your IPA. So literally it's just all the things IPA. But from there, as you're growing, and thank you all for the birthday wishes. As you're growing and you have people working the business, I don't care y'all if you have 1 person working the business, 10 people, 40, however many people you have. With IPA, my team has done like power half hours a lot. So there have been a few months that we did them Monday through Friday every single day. I know that like Tamara posts the ones, I think they're every Monday and Wednesday, or like Monday. So there's always ones you can plug into. But even just taking accountability of your own team, if you have people working, and saying like, hey, does this time work for y'all? Like, let's do this every day or every Tuesday, Thursday, whatever you all can make work, and getting on there together. For me, not only has that been great to do IPA and do little mini trainings, but also just the community. Some of these girls now, like, we're all friends. Like, I knew them, but now they know each other from being on there. We met in person a couple weeks ago. Some of them met for the first time, and it's not weird because they're like, we literally know each other from being on those like power half hours all the time. So we just do 30 minutes. We jump on. Normally we go through the IPA sheet, but instead of being like, here's 5 minutes to do this and we don't talk, we normally do talk, or I'll make them do icebreaker questions at the beginning, even though they know each other now. But as there's new people on there, I'm like, oh, what's your favorite TV show? Like, everyone go, you have to tell me. And then normally people will be like, oh, that's my favorite too. And it just builds community with us. So that's one thing, is doing the IPA or like power half hours. And whether that's a commitment to do it Monday through Friday or just one day a week, whatever it is, like, take accountability of your own team in doing that. And then doing the IPA sheet every day, sending it to someone is great. And from there, just posting on social media has been great. And one thing we do as a team is like fun challenges. Like one day we'll be like, everyone's posting their pink drink and we're all commenting on each other. It's like, if you send it, you better comment on it. And so we'll do stuff like that, or even just prompts. And I'm sure with Emily, like you all do different, like she was talking about the challenge going on the next couple weeks and stuff like that. And so there's always stuff like that. But the biggest thing is it doesn't work unless you plug into it. So I know for me, I'm one that I would listen to a call, or I would get on a power half hour, and literally all they would tell me to like send 5 messages, and I would just sit there and listen to the call and do nothing. And then I'll be frustrated that nothing was happening in my business. And so finally, once I started implementing stuff, I was like, wait, this really works. Like they're telling you to do it for a reason. So for me, as you can tell from what I've said so far, IPA is golden in my book, doing accountability and also making sure you have that customer care. I know I didn't touch about that enough on once I started growing, but as I said before, when I first ranked up, I had no customer care. Therefore, I wasn't asking people about detox. I wasn't seeing what products were helping them, anything like that. And even once my team started growing, I mean, there were months last year that my team was adding almost 300 people. And even though it was that many, I was still, if I was not personally messaging them, I was making sure someone was reaching out to them. I was sending personal thank you cards in the mail, sending a stick of the other Slim they didn't buy, something to let them know I was there. And making sure I knew, like, I do care about your journey, and I don't just care about you signing up and making money off of you, which is so huge. So that's pretty much my story and my biggest tips. Like I said, posting, IPA, accountability. But if y'all have questions, you can ask.
So freaking good.
Oh,
freaking good. That's it. Like you just. Sorry.
Let me mute myself real quick.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I love that. Like you are a very successful woman with Plexus. And it's not like you have all these like tips and tricks, and you're not like Beyonce. Like you are just doing the work. I love that. Now I know that the $1 million question that so many of my people want to know about is just your social media tips. Like I know that social media is really big for you, and I know that's something that you're very passionate about. So if you have any tips on posting, and especially like for people who may not be super comfortable with posting, for those people who may not be super influential or feel like they don't really know what to post, I'd love for you to share some of your tips there.
Yeah, so I will say when you get into the world of Instagram tips and tricks, sometimes y'all, they're way in depth. And if you are just starting, that just may go over your head, or it may be stuff that at the beginning, I just don't think is as important, like how many hashtags you use or stuff like that. Like those are great things. But my biggest suggestions when you're first starting is, one, be authentic and be yourself. Because if you look at anyone that is successful in Plexus or any network marketing, they have been themselves, because you can't just fake this other persona forever. Like you can't put that on and people can tell. So when you are genuine, if you are showing up on your stories and in your posts, just how you are, people will see that and start to connect to you. And as you have conversations with them, they'll be able to see that as well. So like I see a lot of times, some people in Plexus, they know all the ingredients, they know all the things. Whereas if I posted like that, I literally have no clue. So maybe I saw someone's post about it and I could share that information. But if I ever talk about ingredients on my story, I'm like, listen, don't quote me, but I do think this is true. Or I'll be like, I asked my boyfriend and he thinks it's true too. But that's just me, because I don't know all the ingredients. I'm not a green personality. And so I don't try to come across that way, or as I know all things fitness and exactly what you need to do to lose weight, because I don't. All I know is just my story with the products and how it's worked, and I can share other people's stories as well. So always be true to yourself with what you share and how you share it. Also with that is posting Instagram specifically is just having like pretty images and stuff. They don't have to be perfect, because again, that may not be you. You may have a messy house, you may have stuff going on, or maybe like me with my 10% phone battery at all times, it's always dying and on the run. But just making sure the photo quality is good, make sure they match is a good rule of thumb. And then having a caption that is more than just like, like peace sign, like that's like cool, glad you went there. Like sometimes those can be good, but sharing your real thoughts, you know, how that day was, everything like that, and just letting people get to know you more, because as we all know, like this is a relationship business. And so in order to grow that business, you have to grow relationships and get to know others. So even me, like I post my dog or everything pink, and I see people in public that I literally don't know, and they'll be like, how's Piper doing? Like, how's your dog? And I'm like, what? How do you know her? And then I'm like, wait, I share about her. So you just want to let people in as much as you want them to. You don't have to share your whole life online. That's up to you what you share. But just letting them in a little bit more to see you. But of course, there are other resources out there with everything. You can Google Instagram tips. You can search on YouTube, stuff like that. So part of your IPA, if you're doing trainings, you know, you can always search. Maybe that day you search Instagram tips. You know, there's a ton of YouTube videos, even like Plexus social media tips. If you search that, there's some on there as well. So I dive into stuff like that all the time. And then another tip of mine is just follow other, not even Jules, but just other people in Plexus. They can be Jules too, but anyone in your company, and so, you know, how are they posting? How are they sharing the products? And for me, normally that's inspiring, because even if I'm not exactly like them, which I'm not, but I kind of see why they share it, and I can be like, I can tweak that to be like me or get ideas. And so that's really helpful too in starting out, to see others and see what they're posting.
Yeah, that's so great. A tip kind of bouncing off of what Lauren just shared, and this is something I share all the time, but on Thursdays, if you are signed up for the emails with Plexus, every Thursday, this is so good. Every Thursday, they send out a Plexus digest, like recognition digest email. And in there, it'll show like a few different things, but one of the articles is over the top leaders for the week, which our team is constantly having people on the leaderboard, which is so fun. So you should be going to look at that anyways, so you can cheer on our team. But a thing that I love to do is they have 3 different columns, and one is for the top customer enrollments, one is for the top ambassador enrollments, and then one is for the top like kind of team, like the top business building, like the most welcome packs purchased for that week. I love to go and look at those people who are on that list, and especially the top customer and top ambassador, because those are people individually doing it. And I like to go look at their picture or go look at their Facebook. And even if you don't really connect with them, you might see some posts in there that you're like, oh, that's really, really good. Or, oh, that's an incredible testimony. And you can then click the 3 buttons in the top right-hand corner and save those posts. And in addition to that, if you aren't familiar with the save option, you can have different categories, different folders in your save. So you could have like Hashimoto's folder, where if you see different testimonials for Hashimoto's, you can put that post in there. Or you can have posting ideas. So that way, if you really, really like the way that you saw Lauren just do her post, you are going to save that. So click those 3 buttons, save post, and put it in posting ideas. So in a couple of weeks, you can let that be some inspiration for you to then go and do something like that. But I love to do that, because I think honestly, like when I started, I would go and I'd follow diamonds, and I wouldn't get as much inspiration from them as I would of those people who were like in it, like going gold, going senior gold, going ruby, because they're out there like diamonds have gotten to where they want to be, you know? And so I just had always gotten so much more inspiration from people who are like in the journey heading towards diamond. So don't just follow Jules, go and follow those people who are actually showing they're getting work done and they're showing up on the leaderboard. Real quick, so Lacey asked a really great question. If anybody else has any questions after Lauren answers this, pipe up and then we will turn off the call. But Lacey said, what did you do to implement customer care? Because that's something that you said you could recruit everybody, but you kind of let that go by the wayside. How did you start implementing that? Did you do certain trainings? I know that you said you sent out cards, but I'm sure that that was something that happened later on.
Yeah, so we're just now trying to implement more systems, which I just posted today in our page. It's like Brittany Howard's like customer care system, which I think a lot of people use. It's just like a 30-day customer care. But the main thing we do now is always just getting people plugged in. So the first thing I do is getting people plugged into the community page. So just products, stuff like that, that has testimonies. There's fun giveaways normally on our community page, those type of things. And so I make sure they get added there. I let them know. I also text them about perks points or perks credits, so they know that they have those. And then the other thing that I do is get on a phone call. So I have a YouTube video about this. I don't know if it's private or public or what, but I call it the crucial phone call, because what we do is always get in a three-way chat. So I will add anyone that I sign up, whether they want the business, products, whatever, to a three-way chat with me and my sponsor, Tasha. And I just introduce them, talk about, community, like here's Tasha. She's going to tell you just a quick bit about her. Since she has a diamond doc, sometimes I'll send that to them too, just depending on if I'm feeling it or not. But sometimes it's good to send to, like, this is her, like, so she doesn't have to speak all of her words. Here's a glimpse into her life and what Plexus has done for her. That normally she'll respond, and we schedule a call to get on a phone call, or schedule a time to get on a phone call as soon as they get their products in, or before, if we want to go ahead and do it then. And not only on the phone call do we talk about dosage, because some things we take differently than the bottle says or stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, put BioCleanse in front of you. Like, do you need to set a timer on your phone? Do you need to write on the bottle? Like, what do you need to do to make sure you take it? Like, talk about the importance of consistency on the call. And so we go over products, and we're just talking to you, like, tell me a little about yourself, stuff like that. And then also at the end, I always bring up referral bonuses. So that kind of goes into retention, and then also bringing up making money in the business without like just messaging them. So normally, y'all, I was literally scared to do this until like 2 months ago. I would like make Tasha, I'm like, you have to bring it up. Like, I can't do it. Like, what if they say no? Like, even after going Emerald, I was like, I can't ask them. And so she would always have to do it. But finally I was like, okay, I can do it. Like, worked up the courage, and I'll just be like, okay, like, totally may not be for you, but how do you feel about making referral bonuses? Like, there's $400+ on the table. Like, is that even anything you're interested in doing? And normally, I'll be honest, people on the phone call won't just be like, no, I'm not doing that. Or like, they won't just like hang up on you. Sometimes, most of the time, they'll be like, what's that entail? Or like, oh, what do I have to do to get that? And I'll just say like, oh, you just need to help 3 friends. Like, as you're taking the products, I'm sure your mom or your husband or whoever you're with may be asking you about it or what you're doing, and just helping the 3 of them will get you that much money, and I'll help doing the work. I'll follow up with them, see how it's going. So just kind of guiding into that. That's normally how we end the call. And most of the time, like I said, they will be somewhat interested. So I kind of give them like, okay, I'm going to send you some information on how to do this. And so when we get off the call, then I'll be like, okay, well, do you just want to go ahead and make a shout out post? Like, it can be something like this, and I'll send examples and be like, doesn't have to be anything weird or like long or anything crazy. Just like post that you're starting this. And we can go from there on if anyone interacts on it, stuff like that. Other than that, with customer care, pretty much what I do is check in at least once a week at the beginning, somewhat more. And like typically it's just asking, are you having any detox symptoms? But normally I try to keep it on the positive side. So it's like, are you having more energy? Are you sleeping better? Are you having more regularity? Bringing up the issues to them, because normally if you just say like, how's it going? They're like, good, or they're like bad, and you're like, cool. So I try to give them examples, and typically they'll be like, oh, I actually am having more energy, or I have been using the bathroom more regularly. Like, you kind of have to like get it from them, or like are you experiencing any of these? Like, please tell me. And then if not, you can troubleshoot from there and see if they need to change anything. But just messaging people at least once a week, seeing what they're doing. And one other thing I do with customer care is I'll make a friends list on Facebook, which they've kind of been changing lately, which is weird. But if you're on a laptop, not a phone, you can create a friends list, and I'll put everyone that orders from me on there. That way I can regularly like interact with them on their page, instead of just like hoping they pull up. That way I can like pulled up while I sit down to do IPA, and I will interact with them just to make sure I'm not only interacting, but also keeping up so I know what's going on with them. So when I do message them for customer care, I can be like, hey, I saw you were just at the lake this past weekend. Like, hope it was fun. And then I can talk about Plexus too. So that's pretty much the customer care stuff.
Oh, I love that last idea. That's really, really great, because I think that is something like we love all of our level ones. We love all of our people. And then we just don't want it to be weird where it's only Plexus that we're talking about. I really, really like that. Okay, we're going to end with one last question, because I think that this is also a question that a lot of people have. And honestly, you may not have a large recruitment of people your age. I actually have heard many people who are younger say, I really don't have a lot of young college age or young 20s. But that is one of the questions is, how are you recruiting college age people, if you are, or younger people, especially those people who don't feel like they need the products or they're against this whole network marketing idea? Would love to hear your thoughts and input there. And that will be our last question, then we'll move forward.
Yeah, so I definitely have a mix, because growing up dancing, I have a big dance mom network and stuff. And so I've had people of all ages, but I do have a good group, especially my business builders that are like 26 through like 18. My youngest one's 18, and she just went to college. And so she's kind of, starting to introduce it to college age kids. And then my other girl in that range is like 26, but she's just recently married. And so kind of that whole age range. But I will say the biggest thing is people our age are not educated on gut health. Like, I had no idea what it was. And so I thought, like, I literally do not need those products. Like, what is that going to do for me? I don't know what a probiotic does. Like, I don't need BioCleanse, like whatever that is. And so educating on it is a great place to start, is sharing, why those products are helpful, how they help with stuff like energy or sleeping or whatever it is. And then the biggest products for that age range that I've seen be the most successful in terms of people buying them has been like Lean, Active, and then Hydrate once it came out, of course, Slim. But the welcome pack that's like Slim, Lean, and Active has been very popular. I will say the 109 packs are definitely more popular than the 209, because just like I remember when I bought my welcome pack that was at $199 at the time. I like saved up till I had enough money in my bank account and bought it, and my sponsor reimbursed the like $40 membership. And that's like the only way I could do it, because I just wasn't making that type of discretionary income to buy, that and health products, because I wasn't prioritizing it. So definitely just educating the audience. The same as any age range, but definitely educating the audience on why do they need these products. And then one thing too at this age range is the business is actually huge. That's what a lot of people come to me for, is like they don't want to work in college because they want to be able to go out with their friends or do sorority stuff or whatever it is, have time to study, because that's a lot. And so showing that like you can work like 20-30 minutes a day if you do this IPA sheet, even if it's in between class. Like, that's what I did. I remember being on our business college, and I literally had 15 minutes between class, and I would knock out a portion of it. And then in between the next class, I would knock out the next part and message people or follow up, whatever it was. And so showing them that it can be done in pockets of your day, and you can make $300 a month. Like, a lot of them aren't looking for anything crazy. I think sometimes the big income and the car and some that can actually scare them into like, I don't know if I want all that. Like, I just want to make some money to pay for my food, pay for me to go get a new outfit for game day, like stuff like that. And so kind of sharing, like, I really teach my girls now to share the smaller ones, share that you just paid for your groceries, or maybe you did just buy that outfit to go to the game, and it may feel silly that that's what you spend it on, but at that age, a lot of times that's the stuff they care about. That's what I cared about when I started, or getting my nails done, all of those things. And sharing that you just working here and there, showing that you are working, because a lot of times I don't want to work, but showing that you are working each day somewhat and making that happen has been huge. So sharing the business boldly has definitely made a change in reaching that age group. And then also main products have been like Active, Lean, Slim, Hydrate, just because, again, they aren't educated yet on gut health. So I continue to tell them about that, and normally they'll end up adding it on maybe, but mainly just those products and Metaburn, because a lot of them are concerned about weight, even though they're like tiny. That's just what they want to think about.
that is so good. All of this is so good. I know that every single person is just like me, taking frivolous notes, because this is, you're not complicating it. You're just reinforcing this is simple, and our job is to care for our people, to educate, to do our IPAs. So beautiful. And I love that reminder of, there are people out there that may not want the $20,000 a month or the cars. They just might need a life change of $300 to pay for their groceries or to pay for their books. I love that so much. So Lauren, I know there are a lot of people, because you have not yet done a Diamond Doc, but we know that it's coming. Do you have a video out there of just like your story, like a short story that we can use as we are communicating with y'all? I've been writing youngers. I've been saying how to recruit youngers. Business is huge for youngers. So, but do you have like a video of some sort that we could send to the youngers when they're interested in hearing a little bit more about this business or about your story?
Yeah, so yeah, us youngers. I have one on YouTube that's from last year when I first went Emerald, so it is still good. You can still look that up. It's just my YouTube's Lauren Thomas, so if you search like Plexus Lauren Thomas, you'll find it. But I'm hoping while I'm in Mexico to make a new one, because obviously my story's kind of evolved, and also my confidence in telling it and looking back on it has evolved as well. So hopefully in the next week or so there will be a new one that's easier to share and that's like a little bit shorter too. So I can share. I mean, it would be useful for me also to have one. So hoping for that. If not, I know some people will send my Instagram profile to people so they can see it, because I do post a lot about Plexus on there. So it's pretty evident that you can see like, oh, like she made it happen. She just graduated. So that's something you can always do too. Sometimes people will tag other people in my posts. I see that and they'll be like, oh, check out this girl. So that's another option too. If you don't want to send them a video, just if you want to send them a quick post or just tag them in the comments as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Lauren. I know that when I asked you a few months ago, you're like, yeah, I'm not going to Mexico, so it'll be perfect. So now I feel terrible that you have to wake up at 3 a.m. Have so much fun on your trip to Mexico. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for being on this call. My team, I want you guys to stay for just another minute longer, but Lauren, you go pack. Thank you so much. I know that my team is just so appreciative of you being here. And I know there are a few girls that are fangirling right now. They're sitting on a couch together. So we're so glad that you're here. Thank you very, very much, Lauren. You have an awesome time in Mexico.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and so team, real fast, let's wrap up a few housekeeping things just as reminders. So for the corporate incentive for this month, we're in September 6th right now. We have what, 31 days? Is that right? September is 30 days. Remember that we have $1 ambassador enrollments. Y'all, we already have 19 people that are enrolled. You guys are doing amazing, amazing job. I know there's some confusion right now because we're transitioning to phase 2 in October. And I know some people are like, well, if PCs are getting wholesale costs, why do I need to sign them as ambassadors? So I want to walk through that very, very quickly. I am still rolling the same way that I've been operating for the past 4.5 years. If people come to me, they're wanting triplex or something of that nature of 100 PV or more, I encourage them to sign up for wholesale. The reason why is because there are so many more perks for them as a wholesale ambassador. It's a $1 enrollment. They're getting 250 Plexus perk points this month for signing up with a welcome pack. And then they're going to be able to accrue those perk points to get free products. They're getting the free water bottle. They're also getting the free bag. Anybody who buys a welcome pack will be getting a free bag of the lemongrass junkie pineapple active, which a lot of people love it. I don't, but that's a really great way to introduce a new product to them that they don't have to go and buy themselves. And active, as you guys know, is like selling like hotcakes. So that's a really, really great perk right there. What else? Yeah, and there's no social security number any longer either. And I know there's some people that feel a little uncomfortable with that. So I encourage you in that to sign your people as wholesale ambassadors if they're willing to commit for a couple of months, get them all those different perks. And with the welcome package, it's cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper than a $115 package as a preferred customer, because the preferred customers are not able to get the welcome packs. Okay. This is our last month of our Q3 success sprints. And the cool thing is that corporate is doubling all of the credits. So instead of, I can't remember all the points, but like instead of, I don't know, 20 points for signing an ambassador, you're going to get 40 points. Don't quote me on that number, but it's something like that. So that's going to be a really, really great way for you and your team to continue to push towards those awesome prizes as you are growing your team. I just want to let you guys know that if you saw on our calendar, I am going to be doing a call on Wednesday. We get back tomorrow to Boise, and on Wednesday evening, I'm going to do a call that's just going to go over the back office, because I know there are a lot of people that are like, I have no idea how to check the back office. I don't know how to use the help center. And so I know that like when Liz and Lacey, I mean, you guys were almost Emerald. I can't remember. I remember we did something like that. We did a call like that, and they both were like, oh, wow, I had no idea. And so there are some things about the back office that maybe you don't know that can really, really benefit you. So that's going to be for ambassadors, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 8:30 Arkansas time, Central Time. And that is going to be on Wednesday of this week. If you had 3 people, or if you had somebody earn the call with Genevieve, the 3 ads for August, 3 ambassador/customer ads, that call is now on the 21st. I've not announced that because she just messaged me back with that. So if you added 3 people in August, or you have somebody on your team that did, please put that in your calendar, the 21st of September at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard. And then, as I said, that Emerald Extravaganza 2022 challenge is on our Rising Jewels page. I really, really hope that you guys will embrace that challenge. Every day for 2 weeks, there's going to be like a 5-minute video. Go watch that. Let that be your training for your income producing activity, and let that build your mind in a positive way, that if so-and-so had that obstacle to overcome and they overcame it and they're still here to tell the tale, you can overcome that as well. Please, please, please make that a priority. That's going to show up every morning on Rising Jewels team page for the next 2 weeks. And then we're going to do a 2-week step challenge that's going to come at the end of September. That's going to help get people be interactive with our customers, with our ambassadors, and a fun way to get new people in. And I'll be sharing more information about that with like a pot of money for prizes and all that sort of stuff. But that will be towards the end of September. If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. If not, we're going to stick on for about 5 minutes with accountability, and then I'll get this thing recorded, or I'll get this thing uploaded to YouTube. So if you are in my accountability group, feel free to stay on for just a few minutes. If not, I love you all so very much. I've missed you, and I cannot wait to see everybody soon, especially since we have our retreat coming up in just a few weeks. I mean, a few months. I don't even know what day it is. Okay, accountability, stay on real quick.